The following is a paid program produced by The Jamie McGrone Show. The ideas and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of The Jamie McGrone Show.
The Jamie McGrone Show.
It's The Jamie McGrone Show.
Let's talk about meaning, caring, living your best life.
That's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here. Let's talk about smiling, sharing, helping one another.
The Jamie McGrone Show.
That's why I'm here.
Oh, The Jamie McGrone Show.
That's why I'm here, Jamie.
Oh, The Jamie McGrone Show.
I'm your host, Jamie McGrone, and I've created a platform for everyone to come and tell their story of how they turn tragedy into triumph. But before I bring on my guest, I want to give you a story, or rather, I want to tell you something. You know, there are always people that say, keep your word. Say what you mean and mean what you say. But those are the very same people who never keep their word. So what I want to say to you is, mean what you say and say what you mean. But enough about me. We're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to bring on our guest. He's a Chicago legend, and I can't wait to have this conversation with him. Stay tuned for more on The Jamie McGrone Show.
We'll be back on The Jamie McGrone Show.
Contact Paul Donning for an auto quote today.
She likes it beard oil. Redefine your grooming experience.
Want to be motivated and inspired like never before? Well, tune into The Jamie McGrone Show and catch all of the fun, excitement, and special guests. Hear all of the amazing stories of how one turned tragedy into triumph. So, don't turn the channel and stay tuned for more here on The Jamie McGrone Show. Welcome back to The Jamie McGrone Show.
Welcome back to The Jamie McGrone Show. My guest of today is a Chicago legend, and he has shaped many, many artists in this music industry. George Daniels. Thank you for being here, man.
My honor, man. I can't look. I'm so glad. I love your set. This is beautiful.
No, I've been trying to have this conversation with you for 3 years, and I finally got you on my show.
I truly appreciate it. I wish I had known you to find me sooner.
George, I want to get into this conversation. You spent time in Texas,
Yeah.
and later on you would go to Chicago, and you would form this amazing, legendary George's Music Room.
Yeah.
And I want you to tell my audience, what helped shape this musical genius that you are about music that created so much for Chicago?
Well, the first and the thing that I express mainly young people is developing a work ethic. You know, I was very fortunate. My mom and dad were both from Louisiana, and they met there and wound up in New York. Okay, they got married in East Orange, New Jersey, and my mother worked up until the last half an hour before I was born in their first restaurant in the Bronx, New York.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, and see, so that exposure there, I remember the first one. By the time I was 5 or 6, they had restaurants in Harlem and the Bronx.
Wow.
Doing quite well. And so I was exposed to it. Eventually they got a divorce, so it was just me and my mom. And we moved to Jackson Heights from Queens, and I had a job. I always had a job, you know. And you learn this from watching the family, because, you know, as a youngster, you want to contribute too.
Yes.
And so that's what's missing now in our neighborhoods, the opportunity for that first job. And so that period of my life is so much a factor in what I had become, because from there, I'm starting 7th grade. My mother comes home one day from the restaurant. She says, "Hey, you want to go to Houston, live with your grandmama?" I said, "Sure." I'm starting 7th grade, 5th Ward, E.O. Smith, junior high school. My grandmother, we lived right across the street. My grandmother owned Mama Alice's Cafe.
Wow.
Connected to the house we lived in.
This is news.
I had to get up in the morning, open the cafe before I went to school. Again, the work ethic. And so then my grandfather, who was a big time guy on the waterfront in Houston, and at lunchtime, all of the guys from the waterfront would come to grandma's house, to the restaurant. So I was after school. I was a waiter, dishwasher, all the things.
George, it leads me to your conversation of your work ethic, because when you started George's Music Room,
Yeah.
at the same time, many people don't know, you were a janitor working 16 hours a day.
Yeah. That was one of the jobs I wound up because of this young lady. I graduated Hirsch in 1964. My first job was Montgomery Ward, right at Chicago Avenue and the River. Second job was U.S. Steel. This is in January. It was so funny. I went to U.S. Steel first to get a job. As soon as I came out of high school, went through the physical, but I was too small and too light. And so, because you make a good money there. But anyway, I did the Montgomery Ward thing. And this following winter, or that fall, I meet this young lady. And she had one more year at Hyde Park High School.
Wow.
And she worked at Chess Records. If the audience knows, like Cadillac Records, that was about Chess Records here in Chicago.
Yes.
And so we started dating. I took her to a prom, and she worked at Chess as a receptionist and a background singer, and that was Minnie Riperton.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So this is like great news, because I'm getting a chance to learn more things about you, and which is so cool, because I've always seen you as this idol in Chicago that shaped so many musical careers. But I really want to talk about George's Music Room, because that was like a catalyst here in Chicago, and it helped shape so many different artists right here in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about what led you to say, you know what, I want to do George's Music Room.
Well, it's so funny because everybody had a record shop.
Yeah.
But there was only one music room. And so I had a different philosophy of, see, most of our mom and pop stores in the neighborhood, they had records because, believe it or not, before I started George's, I used to sell records wholesale out the trunk of my car to all those, it'd be like Sonny's TV Repair and records, Lee and Bob's Cleaners and records. It was part of an inventory that was necessary in the neighborhoods, because everybody bought singles, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, the 45s. And I used to sell close to $100,000 worth of music wholesale, because I had close to 200-300 accounts. These mom and pop stores, candy stores with records and so on and so forth. And so some days these places would be so busy. I'm selling, then I'd get behind the counter, because it would be a male and female, father and a mother, operating these stores. Many folks lived upstairs, either behind the stores.
Yeah.
And see, so the work ethic again. And so I'd get in there and help them sell too. Because now I was working for a black man, his name was Jimmy Manette. We were at 17th in Michigan, the wholesale house. It was One Stop Records Incorporated. We had a location, we was on 79th Street, right just west of Halstead, just before you got the Frank's department store. Some of you guys remember that part of Inglewood. And there was a whole group of us, young black men, who worked for this guy. And we had responsibilities. And then he had a 20-store chain called Mooseville Records. And so finally he gave me a job in one of the record stores. So I was doing quite well, and I'd take on crazy stuff, but I'd get things done. And he'd come check me out and said, okay, because he see the receipts, because I'd have carpenters in there fixing stuff. And so one thing led to shorten the story, I made all the mistakes working for someone else. I was so aggressive, and because again the foundation of working for my dad and all that stuff, and they give me more responsibility. The better I would get, and I'd learn everything. So when I started George's, the only thing I didn't have was a lot of money.
Well, George, you know, your work ethic, you had it, and it was undeniable.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand the obstacles that you had, because I'm sure when people see George's Music Room, they just know that the things that you've done. But what are some of the obstacles? I know you had plenty. What are some of the things that tried to distract you, or say you want to just give
There were a
up?
number of things, but it's like my father used to always tell me, he said, "Son, you're gonna get knocked down, just don't get knocked out.
Yes.
Okay, always get up." He used another word about getting knocked out, but
Right.
And so, but when I started George's, that's what I was there earlier. People start businesses, they got to go to the bank and get a bunch of money and what have you. Most of the time, majority of that money is used to pay for the mistakes.
Yeah.
My situation, I literally convinced the landlord to give me 90 days credit on the rent when I first opened my first store. That was at 3937 Roosevelt, down the street from what you guys know, because I started that store in like 1970.
Oh man.
You guys really didn't know about George's till the 90s.
So basically, I'm just getting a on-site history lesson about George's Music Room.
When you look at these big skyscrapers and buildings, even like this, in order to build it so high, you got to have a foundation.
Yes, yes.
And my foundation, that's where it started. And the fact that when I go back to the story at Chess Records with Minnie, when Beyonce portrayed Etta James, I was Etta James' driver when I was 18.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. Here locally, then I went on the road with Billy Stewart. This is when we did the Apollo in New York, the Uptown Philadelphia, Uptown Theater, Howard Theater in DC. This is when it'd be 5, 6 acts on a show. Everybody was working, so any day of the week, people are off. And that's how they went to these shows. So I got a chance to be with artists.
George, it's obvious that you have so much to talk about. And I want my audience to hear about it all, from the celebrity guests that you've known for years, from George's Music Room, from your work ethic. I want my audience to hear it all. But we're going to go to commercial break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to have more with the man, the legend himself, George Daniels. So stay tuned for more on The Jamie McGrone Show.
We'll be back on The Jamie McGrone Show.
Tax season is back. Simply Enterprise has got your back. Imagine a friendly, bustling tax office in your community. Lashai Quinn's team greets you with a warm smile. The expert tax professional starts asking for your documents. Simply Enterprise serves clients worldwide via Zoom and a secure portal. With over 15 years in business, you're in good hands. Call Simply Enterprise today at 888-434-4644. Simply Enterprise, making tax season a breeze.
Cadeau Decor, your premier destination for full-service home design solutions. At Cadeau Decor, we believe that your home is a reflection of your unique personality and style. That's why our expert team of designers is here to transform your space into a personalized oasis that truly captures your vision.
Yo, I'm David Morris.
I'm Mike Mosley. I'm Monte Clark.
And we're a Few Good Men, and we're on the Jamie McGrone Show.
Yes, sir.
I know you're tired of the same thing. It's time for something different. I'm just saying, what you going through that for? 'Cause you're a star, and you better act like you know. And I'm on the level.
Welcome back to The Jamie McGrone Show.
Welcome back to The Jamie McGrone Show. I'm sitting here with a Chicago legend of the music scene, and I'm learning about the different things that you've been doing in life. And most of all, your work ethic has been impeccable, and it's been exciting having this conversation with you. But I want to go into Chess Records gave you this work ethic well, I wouldn't say gave you, but it kind of like steered you in the direction that you wanted to go. And you started George's Music Room. But I want to talk about who are some of the artists like Mary J. Blige and LL Cool J that you worked alongside. Who would you like say that you had the most experience with?
Well, basically, it was like I had a part of all of their lives because my journey, because when we're talking about them, we're talking about the 90s, okay? So I went through the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
And so the process of building a business like that, it wasn't just like George's Music Room. The first artist that ever came to my first store at 3937 Roosevelt was Angela Winbush and Renee. Remember Angela Renee? That was the first artist, and the next one was Rocky Robbins.
Wow.
It was on A&M Records.
Yeah.
I mean, they just popped by. I mean, it was like no big thing. We're talking like maybe in 1973, 74. Again, when I was telling the story, when I opened George's, I didn't even have a sign outside. I brought my record player from home with my Pioneer tube amp. And I went to Gardner's One Stop, which was a wholesaler like Barney's on the south side, 75th, right off Cottage. I bought 6 albums and 145s.
Right.
That was George's Music Room.
George, it's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that you're going to reopen George's Music Room. Is it true?
Not as a music store. I've been approached by a foundation that's doing things in Lawndale, the Steen Foundation. They have the property now, and they want to restore the building. They're doing it now. They had been looking for me, and so we've been in talks. Me and Alderman, Monique Scott, 24 Watt, and her brother Michael Scott Jr. And so we're making sure it's going to be the right representation.
Yes.
You know, it's a thing where it will tell a story. It's not going to be a museum. It's maybe an event center. Some kind of way we're going to be exposing music. I don't know if you guys have seen the the tiny desk, what they call the concerts. I'm visualizing something like that because of my relationships with all those old artists. It would be amazing to have that done. And then I have so much memorabilia and the pictures. So we still have negotiating to do. My daughter's in the process of trademarking all my stuff, me and the logos and what have you, just so I'm protected and the family's protected.
So, George, you founded the National United Independence Retailers.
Yes.
Tell my audience about it, and what do you plan to do with that?
Well, it was back in the 90s because of people. You guys remember Napster? Because Napster and this is what you have now getting the music. But this one it started, and basically they were stealing music. You know, students in college, they first had your laptops, you go to bed, just turn it on and download all the music. And so that was the beginning of the end of your record shops. And now you have generations of young people, they have no feeling about an album cover or liner notes.
Yeah.
And so and the attachment to the artist. That's why, basically for me, because I can go on and on, but this is no talent that you see today.
So, George, I'm going to say that George came on my show and gave us all this history that we didn't know, and probably the world that they didn't know a lot of this history. So I'm really excited about me getting a chance to enjoy this conversation with you and grab all this history from you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. There's so much more. It's just like we're Chess Records, but just quick story. You guys need to go and you can Google Record Row. Record Row is Michigan Avenue from Roosevelt Road, 12th Street to Cermak. That was the largest record industry back in the day. Years ago, every label was independent.
Wow.
And the largest black record label before Motown was VJ Records, Vivian and James, husband and wife from Gary, Indiana. The Overflow Coffee Shop, that's at 1449 Michigan right now, that's where VJ Records was.
That's incredible.
You talking about Sam Cooke. You talking about Curtis Mayfield. You talking about Tyrone Davis. You talking about the Shy-Lights. So on that recorded in that building. And that's the only business over there that shows homage to the history, because when you walk in, there's a big picture on the back wall of a lady, a gentleman, and another gentleman. That was Vivian and James, VJ Records.
Yeah.
And the other guy is Ewart Abner, who's their general manager. And they had become just VEJAY. Google it. And that's the first record label the Beatles were ever on in America.
Wow.
The first record label. They negotiated and got a deal with EMI in London.
Awesome.
And then so they wound up on VJ Records here. And then so when Capitol bought them back, they literally, VJ disappeared as far as part of the Beatles, but you could Google it though. You could pull it up. But that's part of the history. And that, at Chess Records, Ramsey Lewis.
Yeah.
When I started there, Minnie was there. Ramsey Lewis, his drummer was Maurice White. That's where Earth, Wind, and Fire came from.
Really, George, we can have this conversation.
Oh God, I can go for it.
We can go down because George got the stories.
Man, it's just, I would love to if I had more time, but maybe I'll come back again. But just as another side note, probably about the first sometime next year, my documentary will be coming out.
Awesome.
There's a production company here. A production company in LA has been shooting it for the last 3 years.
Awesome.
And you know Sway Calloway?
Yeah.
Sway is narrating it.
You have to come back.
Oh,
Fun fact, George, when you arrive, my director of guest relations, she said, Jamie, you look fly. But she said, George got on red. She said, Jamie, you got to change. You got to match his fly. She said, you got the red. She said, go put the other suit on. I said, Nelly, but I want to wear this one. She said, no, take that one off. Because George got on red. You match his fly. So I would say, I matched your fly, man.
Hey, yes, you did. hey. But again, this is a reflection of my father.
I love it.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, my father told me a long time ago, every day you get up, just ask yourself, if I can only see myself as others do, how do you want to be seen today? Life is a stage.
Yes.
And you know, the one thing I want to tell the audience, stay healthy.
Yeah.
And so if you start early enough and change your habits and just recognize that the body is a machine. If we spend $10 million on a race car, got everything working, getting ready for the day of the race, and put some cheap gas in it.
Yeah, it's not going to go right.
Exactly. That's the same thing with the body. And so I'll be 78 next month. Okay? And healthy. And that's only because I made the change.
You drop some information on my guests that they can take and run with. Let us know about George's Music Room.
Yeah.
Your work ethic was impeccable. You didn't give up because your career shows it, man.
Oh yeah. Well, you'll see a whole lot more in that documentary because I went through some stuff, so I made some major mistakes.
Yeah, and hopefully when you finish the documentary and that gets done, you come back.
Oh, I don't know. It's done. They just getting ready to market.
I love it.
And see, so I'll be glad to come back because 90% of my story of my life is Chicago.
Love it. Yeah. Well, we're going to go to commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to have more with the man himself, George Daniels. Stay tuned for more on The Jamie McGrone Show.
We'll be back on The Jamie McGrone Show.
My wife and I started this business because I was having a hard time finding a job. And as I climb this mountain of success, I'm reaching back to help others. My name is Jimmy Williams, and I'm the owner of Urban Roots, Inc., and we are committed to improving the economic landscape in underserved communities. At Urban Roots, Inc., we're looking for more commercial opportunities to help us grow the business and impact the lives of even more people.
Contact us today for a quote for your commercial property and help us improve the economic landscape in underserved communities.
Welcome back to The Jamie McGrone Show.
I'm here with the Chicago legend, George Daniels, and we had a great conversation. I enjoyed myself getting to know his life, just a little peek of his life. But George, here on The Jamie McGrone Show, you cannot leave without giving us 60 seconds of why you feel like you are here. Are you ready for that?
Of course.
Man, give us your 60 seconds.
Look, I'm here because it takes time to learn all this stuff, and when you get to my age, it's called wisdom. And to be able to share it, to be able, again, one of the reasons I don't have that many friends my age or one lifelong friend, we don't see things the same. when I look at you, I remember me. And if I knew then what I know now. And so that's what I convey when I meet young people. I have, I'm like a magnet when it comes to them, because I motivate them, because I see myself, and if I had known certain things. So if I just plant a seed, I don't preach, but just plant a seed. And this is the whole thing. I mean, the value of life. Again, I've consumed all these years. You wind up, you sit around your crib and you got all this stuff. And you go die anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, so the whole thing is, this is important. And for me to be healthy, like I was saying, then look, what else do I have to do? If I was sick, I'd be concerned all the time I take the pills.
Yeah.
Okay? But staying healthy, I can give back. And that's what I enjoy. Because I'm a go-up, man. I don't mess around. I average about 25 to 30,000 steps a week.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get some walking in, man. You want to be here as long as you possibly can.
Yes, you can.
But healthy. I don't want to be a burden to my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
or
George,
my wife.
I want to say, man, thank you for coming on my show and giving us that amazing story, giving us a peek of George Daniels' life.
Thank you.
Talking about George's music room and what you got planned. We can't wait to see your documentary. Thanks for coming on my show and giving us that amazing story.
Thank you for having
Ladies
me.
and gentlemen, George Daniels.
We'll be back on the Jamie McGrone Show.
You're watching The Jamie McGrone Show, and I'm bringing something fresh and new back to Chicago. You don't want to miss all of the amazing guests that I'm going to be interviewing. So don't turn the channel and stay tuned for more here on The Jamie McGrone Show.
Welcome back to the Jamie McGrone Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I had this great conversation with George Daniels, but on my show, I want to give you something inspirational before you leave. So I want to thank my amazing guest for coming and sharing his story of triumph. But I want to leave you with something. We only live this life one time and one time only, and we don't get a chance to live it again. So every day, live incredible. I'm your host, Jamie McGrone, and until then, I'll see you next time on The Jamie McGrone Show.
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Let's talk about smiling, sharing. The Jamie McGrone Show. That's why I'm here. Oh, the Jamie McGrone Show. That's why I'm here. Oh, the Jamie McGrone Show. Caring, living your best life.